I'm about to explain to you the 7 most common mistakes that people make when they first start manifesting. Or hell, they make these mistakes when they've been manifesting for years, and these 7 mistakes explain why the manifesting's not working. So you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of time by knowing these mistakes and avoiding them like the plague. Before I tell you the 7 mistakes, let me just remind you of what manifesting is. If you're brand new to manifesting and you have not seen the video that I did that is basically what the hell is manifesting, it's explaining it for beginners, you might want to check that out. It's also on our YouTube channel here. But so my definition of manifesting is based on research and science. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. Basically, what you're doing is you are using manifesting to remove the obstacles that stand in the way of you doing the work to get what you want. Manifesting done right removes self-doubt, it removes fear, it removes the excuses and the stories that would normally stop you, because when you do manifesting properly, you literally make your mind, body, and spirit believe that it's a foregone conclusion. And that makes you motivated, inspired to take the actions that will get you what you want. So now that you are grounded in the real definition of manifesting, let's flag the 7 major mistakes that people make so you can avoid them. Mistake number 1 when it comes to manifesting is you're not doing it daily. The lack of consistency is what's killing your ability to use manifesting to achieve your goals and dreams. So what do I mean by that? Well, manifesting is a skill. I want you to think of manifesting as a muscle. It's a muscle that you build through consistency. And, if you think about it as a skill or a muscle or a new habit, obviously you got to incorporate it into your day-to-day life. It's just like anything else. A one-off change does not make a lasting change. If you wanted to get healthier, eating one salad is not going to make you healthier. Exercising once, not going to make you healthier. Manifesting once, not going to actually help you get what you want. You must incorporate manifesting into your day-to-day life. The more consistently you do it, the more manifesting becomes a habit, it becomes a way of thinking, it becomes a way of acting, and it becomes a skill that you can rely on to help you get absolutely anything. Now, what's the easiest way to manifest consistently and make it part of your day-to-day life? I'm glad you asked. The best way to do it is make it part of your morning routine. Every single morning, right after I get up, make my bed, throw on my exercise clothes, set an intention, high five the mirror, I do something really interesting. I call it dreaming in the morning. I write down 5 things that I want. And the reason why I write down 5 things that I want is because it is a way to train my mind to focus on the things that I desire and dream about, to aim my mind at the things that I want in my life. Then what I do is I use manifesting properly to see myself taking the actions to get one of the things, to feel myself taking the actions to get one of those things. And notice, I'm closing my eyes. And that's because manifesting is a habit in my life. I close my eyes to really feel myself taking the actions. And when you manifest over and over and over again, your mind, in visualizing and feeling yourself taking those actions, begins to believe that it's happening. And that will make you confident, optimistic. It'll inspire you to take action. It will remove obstacles. It'll make it easier for you to do the work. Now, that's how you do it. That's how I've made it part of my day-to-day life. I write down 5 things. I then manifest on at least one of those things. And then here's the most important part. I then take an action that's inspired by the manifesting. Now, to help you incorporate this into your day-to-day life, I got something to give you. And don't worry, you don't need to buy anything. I have written and created the High Five Journal. It goes with my best-selling book, The High Five Habit. It's not only gorgeous, and you're going to love it, but the prompts in the journal, it's a daily journaling practice that you use. Write down 5 things that you want, big or small, today or in your lifetime. Now describe the small action you can take to inch yourself forward. Now close your eyes. Visualize taking these small actions. Feel deeply what it feels like to do these things as you move closer to what you desire. This is training your mind, body, and spirit to help you take these actions. This is a journal based on research and science that helps you make manifesting a skill that you practice every day. You want to get consistent? Start using the High Five Journal. Now, you can grab a copy of one of these things if you want it, but I still got you covered because I know there are parts of the world where you can't buy this yet. I also know that you might not have the money to be able to buy it. That's cool. If you go to highfivejournal.com, you can download free templates. Don't even need to buy the journal. If you want one, get one. But you can utilize the free templates at highfivejournal.com. You can read about the science. That will help you get started with making manifesting consistent, which will help build manifesting as a muscle and a skill that you rely on every single day of your life to help you get what you want. Cool, right? Good. Now let's move on to mistake number 2. Now, mistake number 2 is a major mistake that people make, and that is that you frame manifesting based on what you don't want. Now, this is subtle, but it's really important that you avoid this mistake. So this is the kind of mistake that you make when you're really frustrated and you start to go, I just don't want to be alone anymore. I just don't want to date losers anymore. I just don't want to be struggling anymore. I just don't want life to be so hard anymore. I just don't want to be single anymore. I just don't want to be poor anymore. I just don't want to have anxiety and feel so bad anymore. Do you see how framing all your dreams and goals around what you don't want might be a problem? I mean, when I say I don't want to feel anxious anymore, how the hell am I going to visualize not being anxious? That's why this is a major mistake. You want to always frame what you want and what you're going to use manifesting to help you take the actions to go get it. You always want to frame it in the positive. Frame it around the thing that you want. So in the case of anxiety, don't talk about not feeling anxious. Frame what you want. I can't wait to have a calm, quiet, confident state of mind. That feels different, doesn't it? I can't wait to be in a loving, supportive, caring, mutual, positive relationship with an adult, somebody that acts like an adult and treats me the way I deserve to be treated. Feels very different than, I just don't want to date losers anymore. You want to always frame the things that you're trying to manifest and the actions that you need to take as leading you towards something rather than away from something. That way, we stop thinking and aligning energy around the negative crap that's not working, and we align your mind, body, and spirit around what it feels like to have the positive things that you want. That's going to make it easier for you to take the actions that will make them happen. Now, mistake number 3, super easy to make. You get really impatient. You start off strong, right? This is true with all changes. You start off strong, you manifest every morning for 3 or 4 days, and then boom. You don't do it for 5 or 6 weeks. You start throwing your hands, that's it, it's never going to happen. So you're not only not consistent, but you start to get impatient, and because you're impatient, you're not consistent. I need you to understand something. For manifesting to work properly, based on research, there is no timeline involved. Did you hear me? For manifesting to work properly, based on the research, there is no timeline involved. You must give up the when, and you must focus on seeing and feeling yourself taking the steps that make the thing that you want happen. Because manifesting is not magically making something appear. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make something happen. It's aligning your thoughts, your actions, and how you feel in your body with the thing that you want. And the reason why manifesting is important is because when you prepare yourself to do the work and to start to see and feel it, you will believe that it's a foregone conclusion. You will believe that at some point it will happen. And you will believe that you can make it happen. And that belief is why you feel inspired and encouraged to take action. You see, when you suspend the timeline and you get rid of deadlines, there is no room for being impatient. Because you in your heart and your soul and in your mind know that at some point, if you just keep on manifesting and you keep on seeing yourself and feeling yourself doing the steps that you need in order to make this a reality, eventually it'll happen. So if you feel impatient, you're doing it wrong, because you're not supposed to attach a timeline to it. You're supposed to wake up every morning and write down 5 things that you want and let yourself see and feel yourself doing the work, and that will inspire you to take the actions that lead you there. And if you do that every day, trust me, you won't even be thinking about the timeline, because you know in your heart and soul, eventually this is going to turn out. Now, mistake number 4, and this is probably the biggest mistake that everybody makes. And if you've been manifesting for a long time and nothing's turning out, this is probably the mistake that you're making. If you're brand new to manifesting, this is the mistake everybody that's new makes, unless somebody tells them not to do this. The biggest mistake with manifesting is that you're only looking at the end goal. That's the biggest mistake everybody makes. We've all been sold this bill of goods, not only that if you think good things, somehow it's going to happen. That's only true that you can think good things and have good things happen if you do the work to make those good things happen. The thinking's just the first part. You got to actually take the actions that are inspired by the thinking. And the second thing that people do in terms of being sold a bill of goods is that you kind of have been led to believe that if you create a vision board and you plaster up on the vision board images of beach houses and Lamborghinis and NFTs and millions of dollars in the bank and the world's skinniest body and all the things that you would love to have magically appear in your life, that simply creating the vision is enough. The reason why that's a mistake is because research shows that simply envisioning the end goal without actually imagining all the steps that lead you there and without training your body to feel what it's going to feel like to do the hard work, simply imagining the end goal isn't motivating at all. It's pretty inspiring for about a day. But then what happens is that you start to stare at the beach house and the $1 million in the bank, and you will feel discouraged because you'll realize, holy cow, from where I sit, there's an impossible gap between my studio apartment or living in my parents' basement and the beach house that I want. There's an impossible gap between the fact that my divorce basically left me bankrupt and now I'm staring at a vision board with $1 million in the bank. Holy cow. I've got 150 pounds to lose and I'm going to stare at my photo from when I was my, best weight when I was a high school Division I athlete? No, staring at the end goal is not only a mistake, it's profoundly discouraging. It's the reason why so many people fail to reach their goals, because they only set their goals and they never do the part that's the most important, and that's where manifesting comes in. Manifesting helps you do the work. Manifesting done properly is preparing you to do all the things between where you are and where you want to get to. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that up on your vision board, okay? Up on your vision board is the fact that you want to launch your own business. Right now, you work for somebody else, you can't stand what you do, you have panic attacks when you wake up because you know that you're headed in the wrong direction, you've always dreamt of opening a bakery, and so you slap up a vision board and you've got this big visual up on your wall that you stare at every morning of this beautiful bakery that you've always dreamt of starting. Here's the problem. You have no money, You have no savings. You've never started a business before. How the hell are you going to get this done? Staring at the vision board gives you panic attacks. Here's how manifesting is going to help. Manifesting is where instead of staring at the photos of the bakery, you see, feel, and eventually start to believe that you can do the work to make it a reality. And so what you're going to manifest is you're going to manifest all the steps from point A, which is starting at 0, all the way to point Z, which is opening the doors. You're going to see yourself. And notice I'm closing my eyes. This is because manifesting is a habit. Manifesting happens here in your mind and in your heart and your body. I want you to see yourself. Instead of going out tonight with your friends, see yourself staying in and watching videos. Videos on YouTube of other people that have opened bakeries. See yourself going to the library and getting a book that tells the story of somebody who did it. See yourself taking webinars and tutorials about how to raise the money to do something like this. See yourself studying Kickstarter campaigns of other people who have launched a bakery and raised money through Kickstarter campaigns. See yourself talking to people who have done this. See yourself talking to friends and family. See yourself taking a class in it. See yourself staying in next weekend and working on this. See yourself getting a part-time job in a bakery and learning behind the scenes because you've always dreamt of doing this, but you've never worked in one. And one vision at a time, as you feel yourself being tired, as you feel the late nights, as you feel yourself doing the work with no timeline, you'll start to believe that you're going to do it. And that will keep you inspired to take those little actions to do it. And that way, when you come in after a long day and you've spent the day watching a webinar or watching a YouTube video, or you had a conversation with somebody that gave you some advice, when you walk into your room and you see that beautiful vision board, you know what's going to happen? Your mind and your body and spirit will literally start to buzz because what you've been rehearsing in your mind, body, and spirit through visualization aligns with it. That's how you do it. Simply envisioning the end game, that's a one-way ticket to being discouraged, unmotivated, and stuck. You start to use manifesting properly. You start to visualize every single step of the way, and you will be training for it and doing the work to make it happen, and that is motivating. Mistake number 5 is thinking you have to have all the answers, and that'll get you really stuck. That what you really want to manifest into your life is an incredible relationship, right? But you don't even know where to begin because your dating history looks like a train wreck. Here's the simple solution. Just become a student. Become a student of whatever it is that you want. What does a student do? A student learns, a student studies, a student researches. Researching, studying, and learning about what you want is a simple way to find all of the things that you can start manifesting. Seriously. Anything that a student would be doing, taking a class, researching, talking about a subject, interviewing people about a subject, watching videos about a subject, all of those things that a student does are things that I want you to visualize, see yourself and feel yourself doing. That's a simple hack to figuring out the path between where you are and where you want to go. Another thing that a student does is a student studies people who have already done it. And then you reverse engineer the path and you see yourself doing the things that somebody else did to get what you want. Now, here's what's super cool. Remember, manifesting based on science means training your mind, body, and spirit to do the work that gets you what you want. Your path will not be the same as somebody else's. That's okay. You can still see yourself walking down somebody else's path. You can still feel what it feels like to do that hard work because manifesting works because it's going to remove the obstacles that you create, your excuses, your self-doubt, all of the stories you tell yourself, your fear, your imposter syndrome. You're rehearsing the steps in your mind because remember, Your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually taking the steps or you just visualizing yourself taking the steps. When you visualize yourself taking the steps, you are training your mind, body, and spirit to not resist taking those actions. That's why this is going to work for you. Even though, let's say you love The Rock's career. You're not going to have the same career as The Rock, but you can certainly visualize all the things that he did in order to train yourself to do the work that will get you what you want. Now, mistake number 6 is going to be obvious based on mistake number 4 and number 5. You're not taking any actions. Look, you can't just feel it in your body. You can't just see it in your mind. The whole reason why you're rehearsing this and training your body to do the steps is so you freaking take the steps, okay? At some point, you got to leave your brain and your body and you got to take action in the world. You got to let the manifesting, the training and preparing that you're doing by seeing it and feeling it and teaching you to believe that it's possible, you got to let that shit inspire you to take action. Now, I want to give you a tool. Remember in the beginning, I showed you the High 5 Daily Journal. I also told you you can get free templates at high5journal.com. Now, this thing's gorgeous. I love it. The templates I don't think are color, so that's one thing, but they are free. But if you pick up a copy of this or you use the templates, this journal is prompting you every day to take action. This journal is going to prompt you to write down 5 things that you want. This is going to get you to start giving yourself permission to have what you want in your life. Then this journal is going to prompt you to think like a student. What are some steps that you can take in order to move toward what you want? It's going to get you thinking about things to do so that you are taking action. Then it's going to prompt you to properly manifest doing those things. And then it's going to tell you to do it. And so if you really want a kick in the pants, or if you want to have your hand held, or you want a tool, because you are committed to making manifesting a skill that is part of your day-to-day life, this journal, the High 5 Journal, is the only journal based in science that will train you and your mind, body, and spirit to make manifesting part of your morning routine and a skill that you master and put to use in your life every single day. And again, you can get those templates at high5journal.com, and you can get a copy of this anywhere online. Just Google it. The final mistake is also a really big one. And that mistake is you're not celebrating the small wins. So as you make manifesting a skill, as you get consistent about it, as you start to be a student, as you take inspired action, as you realize that you do feel like this is going to happen. You don't even have a timeline on it because you know it's going to happen. You're not, as you're doing these things, recognizing all the small wins that you have. Every day when you manifest and then you take the action that the manifesting has inspired, that's a win. When you see doors opening up because you've been moving toward what you want, that's a win. When you randomly meet somebody that introduces you to somebody that helps you get one step closer, that's a win. And you need to celebrate that stuff. These are signs. These are not coincidences. These are signs that you're on the right path. A lot of people believe in angel signs, like seeing the number 11 or 22 or the number 9, or for me, the number 5. Angel signs are cool because for me, angel signs are a mile marker that give you a clue that you're moving in the right direction. Your job is to declare what you want. Your job is to use manifesting to train your mind, body, and spirit and remove the obstacles that you would normally put in place. Your job is to take the actions that are inspired by manifesting and start moving toward what you want. You also, though, need to call out those mile markers when you see it. Holy shit! I just got introduced to somebody in the movie business, and it's my dream, and I'm manifesting that I have my script turned into a movie. This is a sign that I'm on the right path. And what you want to do is call those things out, not because the universe or magic or this is somehow just randomly happening. This is you being rewarded for manifesting properly, for believing in yourself, and for taking the inspired action that is going to make your dreams a reality. And these little moments, these signs, these small wins that are happening every day as you make manifesting a consistent skill that you practice in the morning, that you put to use so that you are aligned with what you want, so that your mind, body, and spirit is working with you instead of against you. When you start to also call out the small wins, there I am manifesting. There, this thing happened. This is happening too. There are my angel numbers. Holy cow, this just happened. You're now building momentum. You're now energetically rewarding your body for aligning with what you want. And it just makes all of this that much stronger. It makes your belief stronger. It makes your courage bigger. It makes your confidence stronger. That's how all of this builds one on the other. And if you're not willing to call out the small wins, you're missing a huge amount of mojo and rocket fuel and magic that you can add into the mix, because all of these small wins are literally reasons for you to be more confident, reasons for you to keep going, reasons for you to really know in your mind, body, and spirit that, yeah, this is going to happen because you're making it happen. Now that you know the 7 mistakes to avoid, you want to definitely check out and dig into the science of manifesting the right way. And that's what I want to dig in with you next. Manifesting is an incredibly important tool in your toolkit for a fulfilling and happy life. And most of us are doing it wrong. So, manifesting done properly is the process by which you train your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. Manifesting is not based on the research, thinking about something and then it suddenly magically happens. And, since so many of your listeners are, people who are very, spiritual and faithful, I'm sure you've had an experience where you've prayed and prayed and prayed for something and it's not coming, it's not coming, it's not coming. You go through the worst experience or breakdown of your life. I bet jail and getting arrested was probably this for you. And then it's 10 years later that you look back and go, oh my God, my prayers were answered, just not in the manner in which I had been praying they would be answered. And so what I want you to understand is that if you want to use manifesting, here's how you're going to do it. Don't think about the end. Don't think about the mansion you want to buy. Don't think about the soulmate that you're going to meet. Don't think about the finish line on the marathon, because thinking about the end doesn't help your mind, body, and spirit prepare you to do the work to get it. There are no, get out of jail free cards in life. There just aren't. You're going to have to put in the work to get the real results that you want. And so what you do when you manifest properly is you're going to visualize the bridge or the path in between where you are today and where you want to go. So, why don't you pick something that you want, Doug? What's a goal of yours for this year?
Oh, let's see. A goal of mine for this year is I want to get my podcast to a point where it's helping tens of thousands of people.
Okay. So you just said that I want to get my podcast to a point that it's helping tens of thousands of people. Now that you have identified what your goal is, let's back up to the present moment and let's do step 2. Step 2 is, now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize what are all of the tedious, annoying, boring, hard things that you need to do that you're either not doing now or you need to do more of? Start to list them out.
Being more consistent on social media, engaging with other podcasters, just being consistent and practicing patience, getting more creative, and not being scared to invest money.
That's the big one.
Right.
That's the big one. So you just said that you needed to be more patient. You needed to stop being afraid to invest money. You needed to connect with more podcasters. You needed to be on social media more. Now, what you do, now that you have a list of all the things that you need to be doing that you're not doing or you're not doing enough of. And for a lot of people, they don't know. Okay, well, I don't know. I know what I want, but I don't know what the work is. Just find somebody on social media or out in the world who has the thing that you want, study what they did, and write all those things down as an action. But generally, there are videos you can watch, there are events you can go to, there are webinars that you can take, there are books that you can read. The information of what to do is out there. So, how do you use visualization now that you know what you want and you know some of the actions that you need to take that will take you in a path leading toward what you want? Well, now what you do is every single morning, you're going to add to your morning routine, writing down 5 things that you want. And one of those things is going to be, I want whatever it is that the goal is. In your case, it is, I want my podcast to reach tens of thousands of people, right? Then the why, you know, why you want to do that. Why do you want to reach tens of thousands of people, Doug?
Because I feel that I have a strong message and I want people to use hard times to grow and make themselves better and not use it as an excuse to make their situation worse.
Okay, now let's make it about you. How do you feel when the stuff that you're putting out impacts people?
I feel amazing because it continues to reinforce that there was purpose in a lot of the pain that I went through when I was younger.
There's your why. You feel fulfilled turning the tremendous pain that you felt into a sense of purpose. And that purpose is acknowledged when you hear from people who listen to your podcast. That's your why. That's the intrinsic source of motivation for you. It's not about them. Anybody who wants to make a difference in the world, the reason why you're motivated to do that is because it feels so good for you. I'm dead serious about this, and there's nothing selfish about it. That's why it feels so good to volunteer. It's why it feels so good to give back, because you get something. You get affirmed as a human being that your time, your energy, your pain matters. And that's so important. So now that you feel that feeling inside your body of why you want this thing, because it makes you feel like you matter, it makes you come alive, whatever the reason is, now you're going to close your eyes. And you said the hardest thing for you is going to be to invest money in growing this podcast. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to describe for me an image of how much money and what you're actually investing in. Okay, so describe that scene for me. Put me at the scene.
So I'm investing in production. I'm investing in somebody to help me do some of the tedious tasks that I'm working, that I'm like staying up super super late. That's can be overwhelming at times because I still do have a training business. I'm investing in travel to network with other podcasters and meet different people at conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I
And as you see the money going out the door, what are you feeling that's negative in your body?
It's uncertainty
Where do you feel it in your body?
in my legs.
You feel it in your legs? Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I think it's because I hold a lot of stress in my hips, but
Well, it's a try that you know what that is, by the way, is that's your nervous system feeling uncertainty. That's where you feel it.
right.
This is how you manifest properly, by the way. Right here. You have to visualize in your mind writing the check and feeling the pain in your legs of uncertainty. You have to visualize in your mind sitting in that plane seat, flying to a conference, feeling the pit in your stomach, being worried about whether or not anyone's going to take you seriously because there's all these big podcasters there. You need to feel your chest contract and squeeze in as you walk up to somebody that you deeply admire and you start a conversation, or you walk up to an event organizer and say, I'd like to apply to be on a panel next year. How do I do that? And your chest gets really tight because you feel like you don't belong there because you don't have the numbers yet, or whatever your stupid story is. When you picture that in your mind and you feel the negative sensation in your body, you are doing resistance training. This is how you align your mind, body, and spirit to not resist the hard stuff. Here's a cool fact about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually spending the money, buying the plane ticket, getting on the plane and flying to that event, or you imagining it in your mind. And when you run through the hard things that you're avoiding in your mind and you allow yourself to feel the negative sensation in your body, you are training and mentally rehearsing the exact same way Olympic athletes do with the 9 sports psychologists that the U.S. Olympic team has to help our athletes prepare. You are mentally rehearsing before the actual event so that your mind and your body are trained to anticipate and push right on through all the stuff that's scary because you've already rehearsed it. That's how you use manifesting to help you do the work to get what you want.
Wow. I'm so grateful that we kind of brought that up and that you helped walk me through this.
What did you get out of that?
Well, I became aware of not only what I need to do, but like what's the fear that's attached to it.
What is the fear?
Well, the fear is always going to be uncertainty or scarcity, because I think the one thing that's been beneficial to me in my life is that I've always had my back against the wall, from being somebody who was a convicted felon in jail, not growing up with a ton of money, that sort of thing, where I've always been forced to just hustle, work, where I'm used to this kind of situation. But on the flip side, the negative is I'm so used to being stressed because I grew up in a stressful environment. I put myself in a stressful environment from selling drugs and doing drugs for a majority of my life when I was younger, so that a lot of times now I've had to become aware of when I'm creating more stress around something that's a good thing instead of something that I would have seen back in the day as something that was bad or whatever.
Can I unpack that?
Sure.
So you just said that you realize that you're used to having your back up against the wall. That having been a kid that grew up in a very chaotic household, who then turned to dealing drugs, who then got arrested and was convicted as a felon and served time behind bars, all of which I'm very familiar with because I used to be a public defender in Manhattan. So I have not served time, but I have represented people accused of crimes and who have committed crimes and who have served time for a large part of my career. And one of the things that I want to point out is that you were attracted to the chaos of selling drugs because it's all you knew as a kid in your home and it felt familiar. And this is why it can be really challenging to break old patterns. And that's because patterns are familiar. And if they're familiar, they just repeat automatically without you even realizing it. And so here you are now. How many years have you been out of jail?
Gosh, so December 26th just marked 13 years.
So 13 years. On December 26th, it was 13 years since you were released from federal prison.
Or no,
Amazing.
or county jail, yeah, but
Okay, well, county jail.
yeah.
It's still a felony conviction.
Yep.
13 years, you're behind bars. You have turned your entire life around, but there is one pattern that still runs your life. And the pattern that runs your life is chaos. And if you don't identify that chaos and friction and feeling on edge is what you're so familiar with, if you don't identify that now and recognize all the places in your business where you are creating chaos, creating friction, and putting yourself on edge, that pattern will keep you from living into your full potential. And so here's what I would do. I would make a list of every aspect of your daily life or business that creates chaos, that causes friction internally, or leaves you feeling on edge. And then I would do the work this year to put systems, people, process in place so that you create new patterns. So step one of manifesting properly, according to research and science. First, you have to tell the truth. You have to declare what you want, period. This does not work if you're lying to yourself. This does not work if you're fuzzy about what you want. And so Megan already did step one. She said, I want to move. She even told us that she'd been wanting to do this for a while. And the only thing that's been holding her back is all that negative programming in her mind. So now let's turn to you. Tell me the truth. What's something that you want? And don't be scared to say it out loud. Don't worry, I'm not moving in with you. But you have to tell the truth. That thing that you have an itch to do. That's what I'm talking about. And if you are so shut down that you don't even know what you would want to manifest, let's do the exercise that I have shared multiple times on the Mel Robbins podcast. Every single morning as part of your morning routine, I want you to just take out a piece of paper and write down 5 things that you want. And every morning as you do this, as you give yourself permission to want things, you're training your mind. You're getting in touch with your dreams and your goals. And if you're having trouble connecting with this, I have a free cheat sheet for you. Just go to melrobbins.com/dreambig. I walk you through it. You can download it for free. And you can also listen to the episode we just did on dreams. It's the one we released right before this one. But you have to be honest. You want to know why? Because you're training your brain, and your brain knows when you're bullshitting, especially when you're bullshitting yourself. You cannot half-ass this stuff. Just listen to this question from Rochelle.
My name is Rochelle. I am from Ontario, Canada, a small town north of Toronto. So for 25 years, I've had a head full of ideas. I've had half-assed projects and lots of plans. I chose always wishing over doing. Many of my blocks were due to fear, many just basic survival. The idea of goal setting, it really fires me up. The idea of remembering to revisit those goals, that freaks me out. I just think of all the things that I should have done and want to do still, that I've thought about over the last 25 years. What do you have a vision board for? That seems like, what are you, a child?
I love you guys so much. What do you have a vision board for? What are you, a child? Rochelle, okay. So first of all, we love Rochelle. We love everybody. And what I love about her is she's admitting to you that she's been thinking about things that she's wanted for 25 years. And she's never getting past the thinking part. Why? Well, because again, the overwhelm, the self-doubt, all of the disorganization, it's stopping her. That's where manifesting comes in. And she asked the question, vision boards, what the hell, am I a child? Let me tell you why vision boards can be important with one huge caveat based on science. Vision boards are important because when you take the time to create a vision board, which is basically bringing your dream or your goal to life by creating a collage of images, what you're doing is you are grabbing that dream or that goal that typically we bounce around in the back of our minds in private. You're pulling it out of your mind and you are grounding it in reality. And one of the reasons why this can be so powerful is because it signals to your brain that this is really important to you. We've talked in previous episodes about the Zeigarnik effect. It creates this kind of to-do list in your mind. The other reason why it's important is because when you put a vision board in a place where you can see it, it keeps these goals and dreams front and center, which is really important. But here's the problem. Everybody puts the wrong shit on their vision boards. You've been sold a bill of goods. You have been told that if you simply create a collage of some beach house or your dream body or $1 million in the bank or a Maserati, that suddenly the universe is going to hand you those things. That's not how that works. What research shows is exactly what Rochelle is talking about. If all you ever do is think about the big thing, you think about the end goal, the beach house, the Maserati, the thing that's like 10 years from now. And then you create this beautiful collage of this amazing thing that you want. That's a huge mistake. And see, everybody makes this mistake. If you look at anybody's vision board, you know what's on it? It's beach houses and $1 million and a Maserati and the finishing line at the New York City Marathon and all the things that you hope and dream for. And the reason why that's a huge mistake is that if the only thing that is on your vision board is the thing that's going to take you 10 years to get done, as you sit here in your studio apartment or in the spare bedroom of your parents' house at a desk in the corner and you stare at a $10 million beach house, oh my God, that is going to feel so far away. It's going to feel like you might as well move to Mars, for crying out loud. Instead of that vision board keeping your dreams front and center, that vision board is rubbing them in your face. It's not motivating at all. Why? Because you start to become present day in and day out to how far away you are from that dream of yours. And that starts to make you feel less motivated. It doesn't surprise me at all that Rochelle has been thinking about all kinds of things for 25 years, and yet she can't get started. And the reason why is because she is making the mistake of visualizing the end. Manifesting is not just hoping and wishing, remember, for that beach house? Manifesting is training your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make that beach house a reality. And step 2 to manifesting according to neuroscience. Visualize the steps along the way. This is research from UCLA. In order to make manifesting work for you according to science, don't visualize the end. Visualize the steps and the actions that you're going to take to get there. So what does that mean? That means all that hard and annoying and tedious stuff that you got to do that you don't feel like doing in order to make that thing a reality, that's what you're going to put on the vision board. That's what you're going to visualize. You see, according to the research from UCLA, brain scans show that when you visualize yourself performing an action, you stimulate the same brain region that you're using when you actually perform that action. So manifesting properly, according to science, means you are socializing your mind to take action. Now, what does socializing your mind mean? Because that's the language they used in the study. It means you're training your mind to take the action. By sitting there and mentally rehearsing this, you are telling your mind, you're stimulating the part of the brain that actually is going to take the action. This taps into something called procedural memory, and it helps you lock in the actions you need to take as a new habit. See, procedural memory is part of your long-term memory. It's like writing with your hands or pouring a glass of water. All those actions and habits, they're all stored in your procedural memory. Your procedural memory has all the information that you need in order to perform things like brushing your teeth or walking and talking. And when those things get rehearsed over and over and over again, guess what? They become encoded. They become automatic. The more you think about the steps you need to take and you start to visualize them, the stronger the connections become. And this isn't just like common sense. What happens when you visualize this way is that connections are being made between gaps in neurons They're passing signals back and forth. And so before you even take the actions, you are now socializing your brain to get ready to do it. You're preparing. It's super cool. So let's just start with step 1, manifesting according to science. You got to claim what you want and tell the truth. So let's say that step 1, I want to train for and I want to complete the New York City Marathon. That is a bucket list item for me. And in fact, that was a bucket list item for me, and it's something that I've done, and you should do it too. It's amazing. And so, yes, you are going to wake up every day and you're going to write that dream down. But to achieve it, please do not spend any time visualizing crossing the finish line. Please do not spend any time thinking about the roaring applause of the crowd as your name gets announced. Instead, what are you going to do? You're going to use science because you're smart. You're going to visualize yourself lacing up your running shoes when it's 10 degrees outside. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to picture what it feels like to be out there on a training run alone. It's mile 13. You're on your own and your freaking earbuds just ran out of batteries and you're 6 miles from your house. And as you close your eyes and you picture that annoying and irritating moment, I want you to feel in your body the sensation of that moment. And I want you to feel in your body another one. How about this moment? It's 5 a.m. Your alarm goes off. You're exhausted. You look out the window and you see it's pouring rain and it's a Saturday and you said you do a training run. And I want you to see yourself dragging yourself out of bed, pulling on your jacket even though you don't feel like it, and walking out that door. And I want you to feel yourself starting to run in the rain, and it's 5:10 in the morning. That's how you manifest. Because here's the thing. That's what you're going to have to do in order to achieve your goal. And more importantly, 5 months from now, when you've registered for that race and that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you roll over in real life and you look out the window and it's pouring, you will have rehearsed this moment. So your brain and your nervous system and your body is going to be ready for it. You're going to roll out of bed because you've already been in this moment. You already have seen yourself there. You've already felt the resistance. You not only know exactly how this goes, you've rehearsed it in your mind, and you've now rewired your brain to be ready for it. That's why you can't half-ass this. You got to be dead serious about visualizing the steps you need to take. And so now that you got step 1, which is tell the truth about what you want. Get very clear about it. Step 2 is stop focusing on the end and start focusing on the irritating crap you're going to have to do day in, day out to march toward it. Now we're going to go from the kindergarten manifesting according to neuroscience to Olympic level manifesting. Are you ready? I'm ready. Because step 3, to properly manifest according to science, you got to feel that stuff in your body. I mean, really feel it. You got to feel what it's like to work for that dream. Now, this isn't just Mel Robbins, and this is not even neuroscientists anymore. We're now bringing in the Olympic athletes and all of their team of psychologists because they take manifesting to an even deeper level. When you're on the Olympic team, you call this imagery because it goes way beyond sort of the visualization. An Olympic aerial skier said, you have to smell it, you have to hear it, you have to feel it, you have to feel everything. And so that means as you are closing your eyes and as you are visualizing yourself doing the work, and for an Olympic skier, that means before you even get on that slope, you are imagining every twist, every turn, every bump, every jump. You are going over and over and over and over again, every twist and every turn. Because remember, according to the research at UCLA, your brain doesn't know the difference between something that happened to you for real and the things that you imagine happening to you. So you're warming yourself up to exactly what you'll feel as you're taking action. There was a huge article about this in the New York Times, and in it, bobsledder Lyndon Rush, who's an Olympic medalist, said, "I've tried to keep the track in my mind throughout the year," he said. "I'll be in the shower or brushing my teeth. It just takes a minute. So I do the whole track, or sometimes just the corners that are more technical. You try to keep it fresh in your head, so when you do get there, you're not just starting at square one, and it's amazing how much you can do in your own mind." And in fact, one of the things that psychologists use this for with our Olympic team is helping athletes deal with the anxiety and resistance that comes up when they're about to go back into racing after an injury. And so this sort of imagery, this deep manifesting where you feel it. So what does that mean? You got to smell the air. You got to feel the wind. You got to really put yourself at the scene. When I was a young trial lawyer, I used to work for the Legal Aid Society as a criminal defense attorney. And when I was being trained to do trial work, they used to say, when you're talking to a jury, you have to put people at the scene. You've got to describe something in a way that they could almost see, taste, or smell it. And that's what you need to do. And so here's what I want to do. I want to do this with you right now. And so we're going to use our friend Megan. Remember, she's the one that wants to move from Tampa. And I want to play a part of her clip where she talks about her fears. And as you're listening to our friend Megan, I want you to see what sensations come up in your body as you are listening to her describe all the resistance and fears that she has about this thing that she wants to do.
My biggest fear is just getting there and then being like, why did I do this? I'm alone. I have no family or friends here. Who knows when my family or friends are going to visit me, even if they will. Is this going to cost me a lot of money? And now I put myself in like a bad financial situation. What if I lose my job and I'm in a new city? What if I hate it?
You want to know what Megan's doing? She's manifesting. She is letting her fears rehearse the worst case scenario. She has trained her brain and her nervous system to be terrified of this move. She has a visualization, all right, that it's not going to work, that her parents are going to be mad, that it's a huge mistake, that she's going to lose her job, that no wonder she's not doing it. She's using manifesting in the exact opposite way. She is systematically, through her excuses and her fears and her parents' stuff, she is training her own mind to work against her. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like that. You could feel, couldn't you? When she said, what if I get there and I'm alone? What if I get there and it's the worst decision? I bet you felt your chest seize a little bit. When she said, what if I regret it? I bet you felt yourself shrink a little bit. See, her excuses have trained her mind and body to resist taking the action. You do the same thing. Every time you look at the thing that you want, that itch that you have, the dream that you have, the goal that you have, and you're like, but this, but that, but what about the other person? But you're visualizing all the negative. And this is why you're stopped. And so instead of mentally rehearsing your deepest fears, let's just flip this. Try visualizing it being great. I mean, instead of going, what if it doesn't work? What if it all works out? What if this is the best decision I've ever made in my entire life? Visualize saying goodbye to your parents and packing the U-Haul. Visualize yourself alone in the apartment. Go to that really scary moment where you're there alone and you feel yourself getting anxious. But then visualize yourself putting your shoes on, leaving the house, going to that event you signed up, even though you didn't feel like it, and bumping into somebody and making a new friend. Visualize your mom calling and saying, I miss you. I wish you have it. And as you look out at the mountains or the oceans or this whole new city that you live in, feel the pride inside yourself that you took the risk and that you're going to see her next month when you go home. And in a weird way, visualize and feel how this distance and you growing up has made your relationship stronger. Visualize That moment where you lose your job and going, but that's okay. I didn't like that job anyway. And I've met so many people here that now I'm networking and I've just landed something new. Visualize yourself winning. So I think you're getting this. I know you're getting this. Let me just recap because nobody gets left behind on the Mel Robbins podcast. Step 1, tell the truth. Your brain knows BS and we need the truth from you. What do you actually want? Step 2, you're going to use neuroscience, which means you're going to visualize and feel in your body all the little things you have to do, the annoying, the irritating. I want you to see it, to smell it. I want you to see yourself falling down or being scared and then picking yourself back up. And feel the pride. Push through the resistance. There you are doing it. Rehearse it in your mind over and over and over. And what you're really doing is you are decoding all the resistance that your fears put in. And you are encoding and rewiring a whole new track, a tape in your mind that shows you doing the work and making it happen. And this is what Olympic athletes do. This is what Mel Robbins does. This is what successful people in business do. And this is what you're going to be doing now. And so now I want to teach you something else, because I think what's going to happen is that you're going to get all excited and you're going to identify and tell the truth about what you want. And you're going to sit down and you're going to go to start visualizing the steps. And then something interesting is going to happen. You might find that something weird happens, because this is what happened to Mara. And it's extremely common. So listen to this question.
Hey, Mel. My name's Mara. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I have a question for you. I was just curious, how does one tackle overcoming imposter syndrome while manifesting? So how can I take the steps to work on a business that I'm passionate about, interior design with absolutely no experience other than my own home, and planning my own parties and gifting during the seasons and birthdays? When I see these types of businesses online, they really, really inspire me to create. But the thought of me doing it myself is so scary.
Okay, I love this question. This is so juicy and great. And I just am so happy, Mara, that you asked this. So first of all, let's just stop saying imposter syndrome, okay, everybody? Because when you're new to something, you're a student. That's it. You're a beginner. That's it. You're not an imposter. You're not faking anything. You're actually figuring it out. It's part of the process. And so stop saying you have imposter syndrome, because all you do is you have a dream and you're going to begin to chip away at it. That's what we're doing here. So that's number 1. Number 2, this is really common. And the reason why it's really common is because your fear is so big and your self-doubt is so big and you've never done this thing before. And you can tell based on the fact that, Mara was kind of laughing. She's like, oh my God, I kind of love this thing. And so she's diminishing how big of a dream this is. And a lot of us do that. We kind of make a little bit of a joke or downplay it a little bit, or we're nervous about it. We kind of don't even admit it. So first of all, I'm proud of you for admitting it, Mara. That's step 1, you told the truth. Step 2, the things you need to do, you can figure out because you're a student, you're a beginner, you love this, you're smart, and there's Google, and there's YouTube, and that's going to give you the steps. And those are the things that you need to visualize. So when you sit down and you start to visualize and mentally rehearse, remember, you're an Olympic athlete, you're a winner. We're using neuroscience here. We're going to decode all those fears and all those bullshit excuses, and we're going to re-encode some confidence, and we're going to see you doing it. You might experience not being able to picture yourself in the visualization. This is super common. So here's what you're going to use. You're going to use the power of objectivity. That's it. What does that mean? That means if you can't picture yourself doing the work, pick somebody that you admire who you could visualize doing the work. And there's a catch here. So for example, you could pick me. You could pick an interior designer that you absolutely love. There's so many of them online that you could pick from, that you can follow on Instagram, and you can imagine them in there taking the certifications, asking their friends if they could stage their apartment for an Instagram photo shoot, networking with realtors, trying to get a job in a design firm, or heck, in amazing furniture retail locations, so you start to kind of build up the acumen. There's all kinds of things you can do. If you can't picture yourself doing those small steps, put in me or somebody that you deeply admire who's already in the interior design business. Your mind will allow you, through the power of objectivity, to imagine someone else. Now, here's the catch. Because remember, I'm the O-line. I'm your offensive lineman. I'm clearing the path. So I'm not doing this on my own. I'm doing this, and I'm in your visualization so you can score with the ball. So at some point in that visualization, let's just say you get a job at one of your favorite retail stores that sells furniture and is in the design business. And let's just say you put me in there and I'm the one that's managing the store. At some point in that visualization, I want you to visualize me turning around and extending my hand and saying, "Come on, Maura, it's your turn. Come here and help me." And let me invite you to join my side in your visualization. Visualize us doing the work together. It's a super awesome hack. And using the power of objectivity, we can work around that blind spot in your brain until you're ready to fire Mel Robbins from that job. And now you can start visualizing yourself doing all the steps you're scared to take now. Super cool. Now let's get to step 4, because this is probably the most important part of manifesting according to neuroscience. And I think absolutely everybody forgets to tell you this part. Let's play Cynthia's question.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I'm from Temecula, California. My question was to Mel, how do you go about manifesting without feeling like a sense of selfishness? I was raised in a very strict Catholic household. And when you asked for things, it was kind of like you had to do something in return. So I feel like when I'm asking the universe or God, whatever you believe in, for my things that I'm manifesting, I feel like I owe somebody something or something's going to get taken away. So it makes me a little nervous to ask or manifest.
Cynthia, I got to tell you, you're right. You're right. When you manifest, it's not selfish at all, by the way. It's an act of self-love when you train your mind to help you get what you want. But when you manifest, you are going to owe somebody something. And you know what you owe them? Fucking work. That's right. You have to do the thing you're visualizing. When you sit there and you intentionally, mentally rehearse the steps you need to take, there is something that you owe the universe and you owe yourself, and that is to take the action. You're not just going to sit there and train. At some point, that Olympic athlete has to do the race. At some point, you've got to make the cold call. At some point, you got to quit the job or pack the U-Haul trailer or get off your ass and do the training run at 5 a.m. So you better believe there is going to be something that is asked of you in return. And that's where the magic comes in. Because the magic is in your actions, and manifesting according to neuroscience just gets your own fears and people's judgments and your childhood wiring out of the way so that you can take those actions. True science-backed manifestation. It's not as sexy as The Secret makes it seem, and it's actually not as complicated as a huge PhD study makes it seem. You just have to do it. That's it. You have to take the actions. You do owe the universe and yourself something. You owe yourself the actions, the effort, the work that's required. That's what your dreams demand. I talk about this all the time. You know, we all want to believe that somehow you're going to close your eyes and imagine what you want and it's going to magically happen. I'm sorry, that may happen on TikTok or in Disney, but that is not how the real world works. The way that you are going to make something a reality is you are going to declare that you want it, and then you are going to tediously, annoyingly, wake up every single day and push yourself to lay one brick in a path with one action every day. It's not going to be easy. But day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, action by action, as you visualize yourself taking the steps, and then you actually push yourself to do the steps, you will wake up and realize you have paved a brick path to your dreams. And you are now, 10 years later, 5 years later, sitting on the porch of your ocean house. You are crossing the finish line of the New York City Marathon. You are making the final turn in that giant slalom race. That is how this works. So you do owe something. You got to put your skin in the game and your ass on the line. And you do that by waking up every day and taking one of those small steps forward that you visualized and practiced and rehearsed by manifesting properly according to neuroscience. Now let me say the final mistake. You ready for the final mistake? This is mistake number 4. You get impatient. I cannot tell you how many people literally give up on their dreams and they are one audition away from making it. Or how many people stop working on their business and they were 1 hour away from the breakthrough that they needed in the financial model. Or you give up on that novel or cookbook you wanted to write because you got frustrated by the creative process. You make the mistake of thinking just because this is getting hard or it's boring or it's tedious, it's not working. Here's the thing I need you to understand. When it comes to achieving your goals and your dreams, there is no timeline involved. You have to give up the when, and you got to stay focused on the why and the how. And you now know the how. The how is using neuroscience to remove the resistance in your mind and your nervous system and your body, and then pushing yourself to do the work, because manifesting is not magically making something appear. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to make it a reality. Overnight success does not exist, period. Yes, there are a lot of people that are gotten lucky. Yes, privilege is real. Bias is a fact. And it is really easy to get jealous. But what you aren't seeing when you focus on the end result is the years and years and years that went into this moment. Like, a lot of people are looking at me right now and they're like, holy cow, this is one of the most successful podcast launches in history. How the hell did that happen overnight? It didn't. This has been in the works for 10 years. I have been chipping away at it, doing the work behind the scenes before I even launched this thing. You have to ask yourself, I think, when it comes to the big stuff, are you willing to work 10 years for it? Are you willing to work 10 years for that beach house? Are you willing to work 10 years for that $1 million in the bank? Are you willing to work 10 years to get that PhD, to heal your trauma, to be happy? Because that's how long it might take. And if we're being really honest here, if it's a really big thing, it could take even longer, and that's okay. Because you know what? There's nothing more fulfilling in life than chipping away at your dreams and your goals. That's what gives your life meaning. Achieving your goals doesn't give your life meaning. Working on them, working towards something bigger than where you're at right now, that is where the real secret sauce is. Like, if you want to be successful in business, you got to get ready to make 100 hours of cold calls about your product or about the thing you're selling before you get one person that doesn't hang up on you. I'm not even talking about a yes. And that's where visualization comes in. You got to visualize the no's. If you want to be a writer, how about getting ready to write for 5 years? 5 years of drafts. 5 years of what Anne Lamott calls your shitty first draft. Days and days and days of sitting down every single day, because this is what a writer does. They sit down and they write no matter what. Days where you sit there and you stare at a blank piece of paper. Visualize that. And visualize yourself keep going. Visualize publishers saying no and no and no. And then finally, somebody says yes, or you self-publish. See, the time and the effort that you have to put in, it's not glamorous, everybody. It's not easy. And there are going to be times that you're going to feel like giving up. And this is what separates the people who achieve their goals from the people who don't, in my opinion. It's this quitting day. It's this moment where you throw in the towel. If you can go one more day, you can make it happen, because then you can go another. See, the benefit of waking up every day and using manifesting according to neuroscience to visualize yourself continuing to go forward is that when the going gets tough, you will have trained your brain and your nervous system that you're the kind of person that keeps going. And when your body and your brain knows that about you, when the going gets tough, you will keep going. So please, once you're honest with yourself about what you want, put in the time. Bring a lot of patience. And I promise, if you're willing to put in the work and the effort, and you're willing to continue to train your mind to believe that, yes, in fact, you are going to cross that finish line. You are going to have that $1 million in the bank. You are going to have the happiness and the love and the health that you deserve. You're going to have the family you've always dreamt of. You will eventually make it happen. I believe that. Honestly, I just love this shit, because manifesting according to neuroscience is one of my superpowers. If I'm not talking, I'm probably manifesting something that I want. I currently do not have a beach house. And let me tell you, I have 2 or 3 particular homes in mind that are currently occupied. I have all kinds of manifesting according to neuroscience going on. I'm in no hurry. I know this takes time. I keep seeing myself chipping away at it. I see the letter I'm going to write and I'm going to stick it in the note box. I see myself working to make the money. I also have done this with this podcast, you guys. This was 2 years in the making before we recorded our first episode. You know what I was doing? I was busy manifesting all the hard and tedious stuff that would lead me here and actually doing it. Another thing I'm manifesting, we are getting this incredible studio space in Boston. And so I keep having these visions of making the drive down from Southern Vermont. I have this vision of one of our team members, Charlotte, standing out front of the building with a clipboard. And she has this little, like, kind of one of those headset walkie-talkie things on. And she's greeting this SUV that comes up. I am upstairs having stress diarrhea because the Dalai Lama is stepping out of the SUV and is coming up to be on the Mel Robbins podcast. And I am managing through my stomach ache as Charlotte is walking the Dalai Lama through our lobby and up the elevator to our brand new, insanely cool. This is what I do, everybody, because it's a superpower. I am training my mind to help me make my big dreams and visions a reality. I'm even doing this for our daughters. I'm manifesting what it looks like for our daughter I want her to do it next fall. I'm visualizing her halfway around the world and working her way around the world. I'm visualizing our other daughter spending late nights in a session, writing her music. I can feel what it's going to feel like when she calls crying and saying that something happened. And so I'm doing this for me. I do it for you. I do it for the people that I love. This stuff is awesome because in some way, when you really get good at this, it is true what the research at UCLA says. You do trick your own brain. When we started this podcast, finally, after years of thinking about it and 2 years of properly manifesting according to neuroscience, I was so rehearsed. I had a Madgeread, or whatever the hell the word is that the Olympians used, that when I stepped in to record our first episode, it felt like I had been doing this for 10 years. Because in my mind, I've been preparing that long. That's how cool this is. If you ever find yourself feeling stuck when you're manifesting, feeling like you can't visualize the steps that lead you to what you want is an extraordinarily common obstacle when you're manifesting. Because remember, manifesting is the practice of preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to achieve the things that you want. And as you probably know, manifesting has 4 different parts to it. First of all, you got to give yourself permission to really have what you want. Okay? Because you got to have the thing that you're visualizing be something that is authentically something that you want. Number 2, you must see yourself taking the steps, the tiny actions, and doing the work that will lead you to creating or having what you want. Third, you got to feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. And you also have to feel pride as you see yourself doing the work, because that amplifies your mind, body, and spirit really imprinting and training and preparing for it. And fourth, obviously, you got to take the actions. And all of that manifesting and preparing inspires you to take the actions. But one place where so many folks get stuck when they start trying to make manifesting a daily habit is you go and you know what you want, but then you sit down and you try to imagine what the steps are that you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this, because the simple trick based in science is called the power of objectivity. All you got to do is stop visualizing yourself and insert your friend Mel Robbins, or insert somebody else that you love and admire. And the power of objectivity is going to immediately switch you from a blocked mind to one that is bolder and more creative and able to visualize the steps. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's extraordinary research that was just written about in the Harvard Business School Review. They did 8 different studies at the University of Wisconsin where they were studying the power of objectivity. And with thousands of participants, here's what they found. When participants tried to visualize themselves doing hard things, immediately the participants, when they thought about themselves doing something hard, like let's just say asking for a raise, okay? I want you to imagine yourself asking for a raise or applying for that dream job. When you visualize yourself doing it, you immediately focus in on minutia. You start imagining all kinds of things that could go wrong. You start arguing against yourself, and doubt comes flooding in. You have a very cautious mindset when you place yourself in those scenarios. However, if you were to visualize me, Mel Robbins, asking for that raise, immediately your mindset switches to being very bold, being creative, seeing all kinds of opportunities. And in fact, when you not only visualize me, your friend Mel Robbins, asking for that raise that you want, when you give me advice, you're super enthusiastic. You're like, Mel, you should go for it. And I bet in your life, you have probably told friends or loved ones, you should ask for more money. And you mean it because you're visualizing them. But you yourself won't visualize yourself doing that. You talk yourself out of it. We've all had this experience. You yourself are probably sitting there going, you're right, Mel. I constantly tell my friends, you deserve more. You should break up with that jerk. You should go for it. But when it comes to yourself, you see the excuses and doubt. So I want you to leverage not only this common sense, but this research to your advantage when it comes to manifesting. Pick what you want, and then if your mind goes blank when it comes to seeing yourself do the work, literally just insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert anybody that you love. In fact, I got a story about this. Years and years ago, this would have been, 20 years ago. At the time, I was a life coach, and I had a really small little practice here in Boston. And I went to a seminar that Oprah Winfrey had here at the Boston Convention Center. It was part of her Live Your Best Life tour. And I went to the seminar because I thought, well, this would be a great place to land life coaching clients, right? You got thousands of women at the convention center who all want to improve your life. So I can go and I can network, and who knows, I might meet some amazing women and meet some amazing business partners and land some clients. So I'm sitting in the audience, and the DJ starts playing the music, and everybody gets out of their chairs, and we all start dancing around with our name tags on. And then all of a sudden the DJ dies down the music, and we all settle down, and this woman walks onto stage. Now, I didn't recognize this woman. I didn't have my program in my hand, so I had no idea who it was. I had never seen her before. I had never heard her before. When they announced her name, not a clue. All I knew was when she started talking, something inside me was like, zzz, energetically, something shifted. I bet you've had those moments where you're like, boom, you know that something is meant for you. You just feel pulled toward it. Like you can have this experience with a piece of clothing, with a house, with a puppy, with a person, with an experience, with a place. Well, this woman walks on stage and I had this energetic shift that was like, and I immediately felt my body go, you need to be doing that. But what I saw was she's on a stage. She's clearly an author. She's making people laugh. She's inspiring. Oh my gosh, she's a life coach? Well, this person I'm talking about is none other than Martha Beck. I didn't know her at the time, but she's an international best-selling author. She writes for O Magazine. She was clearly speaking on a stage. And guess what? She was Oprah's designated life coach. And so I have this energetic shift where I'm like, I want to be doing that. I want to go from just coaching individual clients to having an impact on a much bigger scale. Now, keep in mind, at the time, I have only been coaching people for 2 or 3 years. I've never given a speech. I had never written an article in a magazine. I didn't have a book. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But I went home from that seminar and I sat down and I cracked open my journal and I'm like, I want to speak on stages. I want to write things for magazines. I want to write a book. I want to impact millions of people. I want to do what Martha Beck is doing. I didn't know how to do any of it. And so I developed this simple tool. Now, little did I know, I was just instinctively leveraging the power of objectivity. Since I didn't know what to do, and I also didn't know who to ask, because 20 years ago, I didn't know a single person that had published a book. I didn't know anybody that wrote for magazines. I didn't know anybody that spoke on stages for a living, and I certainly didn't know anybody that knew Oprah. So I didn't even have anybody that I could ask. There weren't as many articles online, so it's not like I could blog. YouTube was not really a thing, so it's not like I could watch videos. I mean, do you know how lucky you are to be able to research all this stuff? I was just me, Mel Robbins, with a handful of clients here in Boston, now inspired to do what Martha Beck's doing, with no clue how to go from here to there. I didn't know the steps. So I came up with this little tool. It's so funny when I think about it now. Do you want to know what the tool was? What would Martha Beck do? That was it. What would Martha Beck do? Because I figured Mel Robbins had never done any of those things, but Martha Beck had. So in any moment where I didn't know what I should do, I just figured I would ask myself, well, what would Martha Beck do? And I kind of thought that maybe if I acted like she acted, maybe I would eventually start to steer my life in the direction that her life was headed in terms of writing books and standing on stages 20 years ago. So I was leveraging the power of objectivity. So this is what happened. A couple weeks go by and nothing miraculous happens in my life. And I get an email and I'm up late and I'm working on something and this email comes in. And the email is from a friend of mine who works in New York. Hadn't seen her in a while, but she knew that I was a life coach. And I noticed that she was forwarding a PR request from Inc. magazine. And Kate wrote to me, hey, Mel, not sure if you're still life coaching, but see below. Someone is writing an article about life coaching for Inc. magazine. Thought you may be interested in applying. So I scroll down and I immediately start to read the email. Now, there were a couple things that jumped out immediately, right? Number one, the PR request was over a month old. Number two, the deadline had already passed for submissions to be featured in the article. Number three, I had none of the credentials that they were looking for life coaches. Number four, I had none of the types of clients that they were looking for. Now, thinking about it from Mel Robbins' point of view, my mind got very cautious and I started to focus on all the minutia. I'm too late. I'm not qualified. I've missed the deadline. They're never going to pick me. Self-doubt started to creep in. Just like it's happening for you when you manifest right now. Your mind is going blank. You're full of doubt, which is why you can't see the steps. I, in that moment, asked myself, well, I know what Mel Robbins would do. Mel Robbins would hit delete and go on with her evening. But what would Martha Beck do? The second I leveraged the power of objectivity and I imagined her in the situation that I was in, my mind got more creative, it got bolder, it got more energized, I saw possibility. I literally said to myself, well, what have I got to lose? Martha Beck would probably just respond. And so I did. I just freeformed the thing and wrote this long email, and then hit send. Do you know the very next morning, the person that had sent the inquiry out wrote me back and said, I've already finished the article. I was about to submit it, but I was so taken with your email that I'd love to come up to Boston and follow you around for a day and include you in the article. And it was that article, which published about 5 months later, that caught the attention of a bunch of people in the media business in New York. And that's what caused this major pivot that happened in my career. Honest to God, it was the power of objectivity and simply asking myself, what would Martha Beck do? So, super common to feel super stuck when you know what you want, but you can't visualize yourself taking those steps because you're thinking cautious. Your self-doubt is consuming you. You are insecure in your ability to actually do those things, so you can't even embrace the visualization of yourself doing it. Simple. Insert someone else. And you can always pick your friend Mel Robbins. Let's just say that you are really inspired to get into home renovations and buying and flipping houses. And let's just say you've always dreamt of doing this and you watch the home improvement networks like it's your job and you just love everything about real estate and flipping houses, but you've never done it. And so when you go to visualize it, you don't even know where to start. Just insert Mel Robbins. What would Mel Robbins do? I guarantee you the second you visualize me in there, you're going to be like, oh, well, Mel Robbins would start studying it. Mel Robbins would take a course on it. Mel Robbins would ask people about it. Mel Robbins would start going to open houses. Mel Robbins would take a class about it. Mel Robbins would talk to people who are doing it. You will immediately be able to see all of the things that I would do, because your mind, when you leverage the power of objectivity, gets bold, gets creative, gets enthusiastic. Now what you're going to do is you see me doing the work, right? You're now going to insert yourself next to me. And you're going to see me going, oh, hey, I'm so glad you're here because I could use your help. I want you to take this class with me. And you know what we're going to do this weekend? You and I are going to go to open houses. And you know what we're going to do next weekend? You and I are going to sit down and watch YouTube tutorials on how you get started in this business. And you know what we're going to do the following weekend? You and I are going to read blogs about how you can get financing for doing this. And you know how we're going to do this weekend? And I will walk you step by step in your visualization in doing it. And you visualizing yourself next to me will jumpstart your mind into being bolder, more enthusiastic, more creative. And that, my friend, is the simple trick that you can use in order to leverage the power of objectivity to get unstuck and unblocked when you start manifesting and get yourself moving toward your dreams. And what we're going to talk a lot about today is we're going to talk about this principle that I believe. And the principle is this: profound personal and professional change starts with you. That's right. Profound personal and professional change starts with you. And change starts with you because the most effective change starts from the inside out. Okay? And so as you think about a behavior change or a thinking pattern change that you want to make, or some sort of goal or dream, I want you to take everything that I'm about to teach you and have that example in mind, okay? So that everything that I'm talking about isn't just stuff I'm doing in my life, isn't just stuff that you read about when you look at the research in terms of habits and manifesting, but that you actually walk away with takeaway that is specific to what you want to achieve, okay? So good. So you've dreamed with the lid off. You've written it into the comments. Now, let's start by letting me give you a hack. I'm going to share with you something that I'm working on right now, okay? So one of the things that I want to do is I want to drink less in my life. I have a habit, and I've had a habit for decades, of around 6 o'clock when I start cooking dinner, I typically will pour myself a drink. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I do as a ritual to kind of end the workday and ease into being, in the more personal part of my life. And as I've gotten older, as I've started to understand more about my health, I thought, I actually don't want to be doing that every night. And so I would make this sort of promise to myself that I wouldn't have a drink, and then 6:30 would roll around, and next thing you know, I am mindlessly walking over to the cabinet where the gin is, and I'm making a gin and tonic. And it's not that I feel that I have a problem. It's that I was having a problem getting a new habit to stick. And so here is one hack that is based in science that is going to help you make any new habit stick. And yes, this is relating to manifesting. But what is this little hack? Well, this little hack is something that taps into what's called your procedural memory, okay? And let me tell you how you use the hack. So with that thing, that behavior change, I saw some of you writing down that you want to make more money, you want to stop procrastinating, you want health goals. Here is a hack that you can use using your procedural memory to make a new habit stick. All you have to do is you need to close your eyes and picture yourself step by step by step, practicing the new behavior or thinking pattern. So in my case, this is what it looks like. I close my eyes and I think, okay, I'm in the kitchen. I turn to my left and I can see the red clock and I visualize it saying 6:30. I feel the pull of the cabinet where the gin is, but I picture myself walking over to where the glasses are instead. And then I take a glass and then I picture myself walking over to the fridge, and then I open up the fridge, and then I reach for the kombucha, and then I pull it out, and I grab a lime, and then I grab a soda water, I shut the fridge, and then I pour a kombucha, I pour a little soda water, I take the peeler, I peel the lime, so I get that neat little lime strip, and I see it twisting, and I see the little kind of, like when you twist citrus, it sort of like sprays that little stuff. And then I drop it into the glass and I see myself picking it up and I see myself sipping my mocktail. I don't even want the gin. This tastes delicious. You want to know something fascinating? Research that has been peer-reviewed shows that simply going through that procedure of the new habit or thinking pattern, step by step by step, by going step by step by step, you are locking in a new sequence in your procedural memory. And based on research, that one time that you do it makes it way more likely that when 6:30 rolls around, you are not going to drink the gin. You are going to make the mocktail. Now, why does this work? Well, the reason why this works is because you're using science to rehearse the new behavior or the new situation or the new thinking pattern and to encode it in your brain before you actually do it. And when you use your procedural memory to rehearse something that you want to have become a new habit or a new way of acting in your life, you're basically putting it in your long-term memory. Now, what is your procedural memory? Well, your procedural memory is the part of your brain that has stored all the motor skills, like writing, like picking up a glass and drinking, like walking. It is all stored in your procedural memory. The reason why you and I can walk without thinking about it, or talk, or skip, or brush our teeth is because we have rehearsed that sequence, that procedure, that series of events over and over and over again. And now it's locked into my brain, into my procedural memory. Now, here's what's really cool, everybody. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an event that you have closed your eyes and imagined and an event that you've actually done. And what's happening in your brain when I visualize myself making that mocktail step by step by step by step is I am making connections between the gaps at the end of the neurons in my body, the synapses And every time I either imagine that sequence of events or I practice it, we're making that connection between neurons stronger and stronger and stronger. And so here's what's really cool. What I just told you is manifesting. Seriously. Manifesting done correctly is when you use your procedural memory as a tool to train your brain, your nervous system, your spirit to help you feel motivated and to help you do the work that actually changes your life. How cool is that? I want to be very clear about something. You know, manifesting gets a bad rap because of the law of attraction. But manifesting is not woo-woo at all. It's not a cheesy topic. Manifesting is not just think about something that you want and suddenly it'll magically appear. No. Manifesting is when you use your procedural memory and you visualize the step by step by step actions that you need to take in order to make your big goal or the thing that you want or the new habit to become a reality. You see, manifesting isn't the end, everybody. Manifesting is the bridge. It's the series of actions that you're going to take in order to have this new habit. And when you rehearse something and when you encode it in your procedural memory, what actually happens is because it's now something that your brain recognizes, the walking to the other cabinet, not where the gin is, the opening up the fridge and grabbing the kombucha instead of grabbing the gin in the cabinet. When you rehearse this over and over, you are lowering the limbic friction, the friction in your mind, the resistance that you feel. You are lowering that resistance, and that is how manifesting helps you achieve your goals. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you, so make sure you subscribe. Mwah.